Okay, so I think we're ready to do a little mini drawing, just an example here. One thing that's usually good with watercolor is to tape off your edges, or to just not paint to the very, very edge of your paper, because sometimes that'll make your paper curl. It depends on the quality of the paper, but especially if you don't have access to watercolor paper and you only have computer paper, you can kind of see how it doesn't really hold the paint and the water very well, so you can't overdo it. So just be very careful. I have some decent watercolor paper here. It's a little thicker. I'm gonna go ahead and use this side. You can sometimes tell one side will be a little more textured and the other side might be a little smoother. They both work. Sometimes the textured side will hold the paint a little bit better, so that's what I'm gonna go ahead and use. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and stick with the red, since we already kind of have a decent mixture there. But I'm gonna start a new little pile, just since the last one we used was pretty dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and start again by adding some water, because I want to get my very lightest value. So there was already some red in my brush, so just by adding that water, I already kind of have a good light value right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is lay down the lightest value first, and then we're going to layer it as we go, darker and darker. So I'm just going to not paint to the edge. And I'm just going to fill this whole background. Okay, so now I'm just kind of smoothing it out. That should be pretty good. So see how I left a little border just so my paper doesn't curl quite as much. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let that dry, and then we'll come back and work on the next step once it's ready. Alright, so this is all dry now, the very lightest color of our monochromatic painting. So the next step is going to be to create a slightly darker value. So I'm going to go ahead and just try this over here and see what it looks like. That looks a little too dark. Add a little more water. That's probably pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and add mountains. So I'm going to add them kind of starting back here. Okay, so again, we'll just let that dry and then we'll come back and do the next layer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do another slightly darker value. And I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to do some mountains. These ones will be a little closer. Okay. Okay, so again, gonna let that dry and then we'll come back with a couple more layers.